Welcome back to Nightlife, Eric Clapton. I gotta tell you something. I had this terrific introduction, about this is a rare appearance on television. Yeah, and and then I was going to say something. I was going to say, all the albums. I was going to say such nice things about you. And the minute they saw you, they went nuts, and I could just about get your name out, because I want to say this is from Color, Color Money, and there was a thing. So all those wonderful things I want to say, I said. Now.
There you are. It's nice. I can't complain about it. I think it's great.
And then the standing ovation. That's the first time anyone's ever got these, and there was no electricity under these seats. Everybody got up. That's the first time we had that, too, so that was great. When I was starting out in comedy, I was working in Chicago. There's a place there, it's now defunct and gone. It was a terrific club there. And I was working with B.B. King. I was the opening act for B.B. King. And one night, Muddy Waters came on. He had a broken leg, a busted leg, came on in crutches. And they wailed up there for like 4 hours.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And I know I sat there mesmerized for 4 hours sitting in this club, watching it.
How long
Mr.
ago
Kelly's.
was that?
That was about 1970, 71, 72, no, 1970 I think it was.
Well, he would have been about 50 in his mid-50s, I suppose.
Right, and it was just, 4 hours. It is after the show closed. They just stayed up there. No one left the place. Yeah. But he was a big influence on you, Muddy Waters,
Very
right?
big, yeah, very big. I think he was the elder statesman, which BB is now, I suppose. He's like holding
BB's
the
one who's left, right?
Yeah, he's the last one. Not that I can't say that. John Lee Hooker's pretty, It's another form of music, I suppose, but for the guitar, lead guitar, BB was always the one still there.
Your longevity, these men, they have their longevity. What do you ever think about yours? Like, it's over 2 decades, man, that you've just been at the top. You ever think why? You ever
I don't know if I've ever been at the top, just in the mainstream, just grooving along, I don't really like to get too far into the success or get too low. Just keep going, keep a pace. That's the thing, pacing, I suppose.
Yeah, well, one of the things you've always done is you never got into the whole thing of theatrics on stage.
I don't know.
Right? But you last longer,
most of those
right?
people actually don't do it, I'm sure, out of their own imagination, do they?
What, you mean it's designed?
They have choreographers, and there's whole teams of people involved in that.
Smoke, there's a smoke team.
Oh, all of that, yeah.
Yeah. They just do smoke with the dry ice,
Yeah.
You never got into any of that thing, right?
No, I don't really, it doesn't, not for me, it's not me. If I did it now, it would look stupid, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it does get to the point where it starts,
people would leave.
Well, never, never. But when when I sometimes find this correlation between comedy and music. There's something, besides the fact that we're both in the same business. And when I was a kid and I was 14 years old, I was like 5'6", I weighed 126 pounds. And in the 3 months over the summer, I went from 5'6" to 6 feet, a little over 6 feet, and stayed at 126 pounds. Yeah, exactly. People looked at me like you did, And what happened then is I used the comedy to compensate for that. Comedy became a way of bridging the people that I couldn't bridge it. Now music, when you hit the guitar, when you first started in your teens and played the guitar, was it sort of the same sort of
exactly
thing for you?
the same thing, because I was the same thing. It was like a 5-stone weekly, or that's like a 100-pound weekly, just with no chance of doing anything. I had no hope anywhere, except I channeled everything into playing the guitar, and then the other things sort of followed on.
Yeah, you and I could have met then. We could have both been nothing together.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, yeah, you wouldn't have been a good comedian. I would never have made the good. We just would have been
hanging out in London somewhere. One time I was in London a long time ago, and that's when they were all over the walls and everything. Clapton is God and all that. And I'll tell you something. An interesting thought before I had a thought one time. Like, suppose someone came down and said to me, David, you're not a comedian. You've been doing comedy and all that sort of thing, but the truth of the matter is we didn't want to tell you, because like Superman, when he was growing up, they didn't want to upset him by telling him, he could walk through walls and all. But you're really God. You are. You're really God. And you know what I thought? I'm talking, wait, you got it all wrong. I'm talking someone saying this to me. Now, I'll tell you what. And you know what I thought? I thought the first thing I would do, and it's funny because I'm wearing this, first thing I would do is, I used to be a big smoker. I smoked 3.5 packs a day. And I thought the first thing I would do, if I say, am I really God? I'd say, you got a cigarette? Because I know that my lungs could take it. You know, because God could just sit around chain smoking, man, like, oh, well, I don't know why I did broccoli. That was a bad one. And giraffes were bad. Do you ever think of that time when they said Clapton is God? Now, suppose you really were.
What would I do?
What would you do?
I don't know.
Play guitar.
Spend money, I suppose.
Just spend it all.
Spend everything, knowing that you'd always be able to get some more. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a
That's
good
the
one,
first
huh?
thing that
Yeah.
comes to mind.
Yeah, it's a good one. What do you do? I mean, what do you know, you get even.
Just blow it, everything, yeah.
Well, you had a time when you really let it all go, didn't you? I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
You had a time when you
I had
just,
a good time.
You had a real good time.
Yeah. That's probably not the right way to phrase it, but I kept it under control, even though it didn't look like it. Believe me.
When you listen back to some of the stuff when you listen back to some of the stuff you recorded in those days when you had it under control.
Yeah.
Does it? Are you ever surprised at what you did then?
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. I just think it was a little bit laid back, that's all.
Yeah. Little.
Like I was preoccupied with something.
Yeah. When you were preoccupied, did you ever go like on automatic pilot? Did you ever think like you're up on stage, you just like, oh
Many
man,
years.
and you just turn it to that dial, to that one, and you just go, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. But you still do, I still do that now. You know, even if you just be completely straight and sound seriously. But if because if you're nervous, for instance, that can put you in a catatonic state.
Yeah.
Really can, where you just don't know if that's in tune, does that sound right? So you just kind of switch off. You do go onto a sort of safety level.
But there's something inside of you. It's like, I once had a concussion, and I went on stage. I fell in the tub. Really, I fell. They laugh at the weirdest things, man. Yeah, I'm falling in a bathtub in Montana with a concussion. But anyway, I had a concussion. I went on stage. I did a concert, and I was on stage, and I remember going on, and then I heard laughter, and I remember what I just said, and I looked down at the clock, and it was 45 minutes. I don't remember a thing.
Yeah.
That's the automatic part. There's something inside you that takes over.
Did anyone comment on how you were?
They said I should have faced the audience. That was one man. No, you know something? I was funny, man. Yeah. That's what's so weird. It's like something inside of you. That's an instinct.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But did you ever think, looking back on those days when you're under control like that and having a good time, did you ever think, I mean, you always played, like you said, mainstream. I call it great, but you call it mainstream. You've always been in there in that mainstream. Did you ever think if without that with those days,
without that control,
what would you have been like?
I don't know. I think it's hypothetical. I was talking to Pete Townsend once, and he said, think how much better a player or how much further down the road you'd be if you hadn't thrown all those years away or wasted so much time, really. And that's no way of knowing, is there?
No.
So, I mean, what can you do?
You don't know if maybe that was the right time for that to happen, and that's why you hit that groove and you did the things you did because of that.
Yeah.
Right?
It was a form of hibernation.
Yeah, right.
Because you can't be in the public eye all the time.
No.
And you can't just go on touring and making records all the time. And you need to get away from it somewhere, you know, now and then.
I know you're going to do another song for us. That's what I was. So while you're going over there, I'll introduce it, okay? All right, great.